There is a date written inside an international treaty that almost nobody knows about, a date that, when it arrives, could trigger the largest resource grab in human history. That date is 2048, and right now, 22 years before that deadline, the most powerful nations on Earth are quietly building infrastructure in one of the most remote places on the planet, not to study, not to explore, to be there first when the rules change. Antarctica is the fifth largest continent on Earth, bigger than the United States and Mexico combined. It holds 70% of all the planet's fresh water locked inside ice, so thick it would bury the Alps completely. Surface temperatures drop to minus 90 degrees Celsius. Winds hit over 300 kilometers per hour. And yet, China just opened its fifth research station there. Chinling Station on Inexpressible Island near the Ross Sea opened February 7, 2024, making China the country with the fastest growing presence in Antarctica, having opened 3 stations since 2009. The station covers 5,244 square meters, is designed in the shape of the Southern Cross constellation, and can house 80 people year-round. A 6th station is already being planned. Russia is running seismic surveys across Antarctic waters. The United States operates the largest base on the continent, and a treaty that has protected Antarctica for over 60 years is heading toward a review window that changes everything. The question is not whether something valuable is buried under that ice. The question is, who will be positioned to get it when the moment arrives? When snow falls in Antarctica, it does not melt, it accumulates. Year after year, century after century, each new layer compresses the one beneath it into solid ice. As it compresses, tiny pockets of air get trapped inside, sealed like time capsules, each one holding a sample of the exact atmosphere from the year that snow fell. Scientists drill down into this ice and extract cylinders called ice cores. The deepest continuous core ever recovered came from nearly 3 kilometers below the surface. The air bubbles inside that ice are 1.2 million years old. That means scientists can crack open a piece of ice, release the air inside, and analyze what the Earth's atmosphere was doing before modern humans ever walked the planet. Inside those bubbles, carbon dioxide levels from ancient climates, methane from eras predating human civilization by hundreds of thousands of years, volcanic ash from eruptions that happened before any written language existed. This is how we know the Sahara was once a green, forested landscape. This is how we reconstructed the climate cycles that drove ice ages. Think of it as the world's only complete planetary diary, written 1 page per year for over 1 million years straight. There is no other copy. If the ice melts, the diary is destroyed permanently, and every question scientists have not yet thought to ask goes unanswered forever. Beneath the ice of West Antarctica, there are dozens of active volcanoes. They cannot erupt the way surface volcanoes do. The weight of kilometers of ice pressing from above is too enormous. Instead, the heat builds slowly below, melting the base of the ice from underneath. Quietly, in complete darkness, carving hidden chambers of water and steam that no human being has ever seen. This geothermal heat is one of the reasons West Antarctica is losing ice far faster than early climate models predicted. The ice was being eaten from below. That variable was missing from the calculations for years. One volcano breaks through the surface, Mount Erebus, the most southerly active volcano on the planet. Inside warm caves formed around its vents, researchers have discovered mosses, algae, and DNA sequences that do not match any known species anywhere on Earth, life forms never before catalogued, surviving in a hidden warm pocket inside one of the coldest places in the world. But the most striking manifestation of what is happening beneath Antarctica is something called blood falls. In East Antarctica, a deep red liquid seeps from the base of Taylor Glacier and stains the ice below. When polar explorers first encountered it in 1911, they had no explanation. Red liquid emerging from inside solid ice. What it actually is, ancient brine water, more than twice as salty as the ocean, sealed beneath roughly 400 meters of ice for millions of years. When it finally seeps into open air, dissolved iron reacts instantly with oxygen. It turns bright red on contact. What spills out looks like blood. What it actually is a direct delivery from a world that has been running silently under the ice for millions of years. Drop more than a kilometer beneath the surface of Antarctica, and you reach the boundary between rock and ice. Water is moving down here, enormous quantities of it. Beneath Antarctica, there is a hidden network of underground rivers and lakes that has been running in complete darkness for millions of years. Scientists have identified nearly 700 subglacial lakes scattered across the continent, some connected by rivers that no light has ever reached, no human being has ever touched. The largest is Lake Vostok, 240 kilometers long, 50 kilometers wide, bigger than the entire country of Belgium, sealed beneath the ice for up to 25 million years, no outside air, no light, running in perfect darkness at enormous pressure for longer than our entire species has existed by several million years. Water fills one subglacial lake until pressure reaches a tipping point, then releases suddenly, flooding into underground channels, traveling hundreds of kilometers through solid rock in just a few days, billions of liters of water moving underground in the dark. When these events happen, the ice sheet above physically moves. Satellites have recorded the surface of Antarctica rising and falling by several meters as the underground pressure shifts. Mapping those underground rivers and lakes tells you where mineral-rich fluids have been accumulating for millions of years. China has been investing heavily in electromagnetic survey technology that builds a picture of what lies beneath without drilling everywhere. Scientific research on the surface, geological intelligence at the same time. Scientists have built a digital model called BedMap 2. It shows what Antarctica would look like if you removed every drop of ice simultaneously. What appears is not a flat frozen slab, it is an entirely different world. Entire mountain ranges lie buried in complete darkness. The Gumburtsev Mountains stretch across the interior of East Antarctica, with peaks rising thousands of meters above the surrounding terrain. No explorer has ever stood on their summits. No photograph has ever captured them. They exist only in data gathered from signals bounced through ice. They have not seen light in millions of years. Denman Canyon cuts through the bedrock and drops more than 3.5 kilometers below sea level. The deepest land canyon on Earth, far deeper than the Grand Canyon, completely invisible unless you strip away the ice in a computer model. And a structure buried in East Antarctica, approximately 300 kilometers wide, produces a gravitational signal strong enough that satellites detect it from space. The leading theory, it is the impact scar of one of the largest asteroid strikes in Earth's entire history. Nobody has drilled to it, nobody has seen it directly. Antarctica shares its deep rock formations with South America, Africa, India, and Australia, all once part of the same supercontinent. Every one of those continents is loaded with coal, oil, iron, copper, gold, and rare earth minerals. Surveys already suggest deposits beneath Antarctica worth tens of trillions of dollars, and China currently controls roughly 60% of global rare earth production. Understanding where Antarctica's deposits are before anyone else does is not economic advantage. It is strategic leverage for the rest of this century. In 1959, 12 countries signed the Antarctic Treaty, declaring the continent a zone for peace and science. And in 1991, an environmental protocol was added, explicitly prohibiting mining and resource extraction. But written inside that protocol is a clause most people have never heard of. Starting in 2048, after the expiration of 50 years, any member country can formally request a review of the mining ban. If enough countries vote to lift the restrictions, resource extraction in Antarctica could become legal. 2048 is 22 years away. Building permanent infrastructure in one of the most hostile environments on the planet takes decades. Conducting geological surveys that tell you exactly where to drill takes years of quiet, methodical work that must begin long before any vote happens, which is precisely what is already underway. China's Qinling Station has sparked significant debate about motives beyond science, including resource extraction and geopolitical positioning. A Center for Strategic and International Studies report noted the station's position could allow China to collect signals intelligence from US allied Australia and New Zealand. China has also been investing in new polar icebreaker ships, aerial survey technology, and deep ice mapping programs that go well beyond what a purely scientific mission would require. Look at where China's 5 stations are placed, not clustered, distributed across different sectors of the continent. The coverage strategy of a country building the broadest possible presence before a legal review arrives. Under international law, presence counts. Every new station is a quiet legal move in a game that will not officially start until 2048, but by the time it officially starts, the positions will already be set. Look at what is actually on the line if this competition stops being managed and starts being contested. The ice core record stretching back 1.2 million years. There is nothing like it anywhere on Earth. If industrial activity disrupts those layers before they have been fully studied, that record is gone permanently, not damaged, gone. Every question scientists have not yet thought to ask about the history of Earth's climate will go unanswered forever. Lake Vostok has been sealed for up to 25 million years. The microbes living inside it could carry biological adaptations completely unknown to science. Lake Vostok is the closest natural analogue on Earth to Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, which has an ocean sealed beneath ice just like Vostok. Contaminate it through industrial activity, and the opportunity to study it disappears. More with the food chain. The nutrients that seep from beneath Antarctica's ice have been feeding the Southern Ocean for millions of years. Blue whales, already recovering slowly from a 20th century collapse that killed 97% of their population, depend on krill populations that depend on that nutrient cycle staying intact. Disrupt the bedrock through mining, and the consequences move up the food chain in ways that are genuinely difficult to reverse. And finally, the ice itself. Antarctica holds enough water that if it fully melted, global sea levels would rise by 60 meters. Every coastal city on Earth would be underwater. West Antarctica alone holds enough ice to raise sea levels by several meters, and it is already destabilizing faster than predicted. The Antarctic Treaty has held for over 60 years because every country that signed it found that cooperation served them better than competition. That cooperation produced the ice cores, the subglacial lake discoveries, the climate models the entire world now depends on. 2048 does not have to become a breaking point. Some treaty members have already stated publicly that they support making the mining ban permanent. The framework for keeping Antarctica protected exists. The question is whether the countries with the most to gain from resource extraction will agree to leave it in place when the moment of decision arrives. That decision is not being made in 2048. It is being shaped right now. By who is building where? By which countries are deepening their presence? By whether the international community decides that some places are simply worth too much intact to ever treat as resources. Key. Antarctica is one of the only places left on Earth that functions precisely because it has not been touched. The ice cores only exist because the ice was left to accumulate undisturbed. The subglacial lakes only preserve their ancient ecosystems because nothing has breached them. 22 years is not a long time when the thing being decided is the fate of the most important continent on Earth. The race is already underway. The question is whether the world is paying attention. Subscribe, because this story is moving faster than the headlines suggest, and we will cover every development as it happens.